Hi there, Kate Bora and Fiona Pearman joining you for today's live as we dig into our conversation around power. And I think this is one of these words that we use regularly, but rarely actually spend some time thinking about what is it, what gets in the way, and perhaps what is our opportunities with relationship to power. Let's start with a definition or a couple of definitions. Firstly, power is the ability or capacity to do something or act in a particular way. And so that very much centers around the self. The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behaviors of others or the course of events. And so this is very much an other context, but very much around having control, authority, or influence over others.
Yes, I think power is a fascinating word, particularly for women, because most of us have a lot of connotations, a lot of meaning making we do around the word power. As soon as we hear that word, we've got ideas in our head. We quite often tend to think more to the negative. We think strong arm, someone controlling us, something quite dictatorial, something heavy-handed almost comes up quite often with the word power. And yet, at the same time, one of the worst things that humans ever contemplate is feeling powerless. So there's a tension here. And I think, in and of itself, power is not either good or bad. And that's why we thought it was so important to dig into, because if we've got a negative connotation around something and we're shying away from it, that could be stopping us from doing really important things.
Yeah, it's an interesting paradox, right? I don't want power, but I don't want to be powerless. So yeah. All right, let's talk about the different types of power. And the first is formal power or power that come from position, structure, or control. And the first one here is positional power. So, one we're mostly familiar with. It comes from, your role, your title, your position in relation to others or your place in the system. So, the CEO has positional power. A manager has positional power over their direct reports. The second is support or reward-based power. And so this is ability to provide access, recognition, opportunities to people, perhaps to withhold budget. So what you have power, what resources you have power over. A good example here is, I was thinking about someone, who manages the global, leadership development program or the budget for entertainment or travel, right? Because of the decisions they can make and the resources they control, they have a level of power. And the third one, under the context of formal power, is information power. And this is having access to or sharing information. I know things that others need to know. And one that really resonates here is, the EA to the CEO, right? Knows has a lot of informational power in the system.
And I think when we think about that, it makes sense that in those formal power settings, there is quite a lot of a sense of structure, control, and that sort of thing. What we're really curious about is how does this relate then to personal power? Because this is the second piece we want to talk to you about. And what we know about personal power and our work with confidence is absolutely in this space is it comes from within. It's something you hold and have within you. And there are things that amplify it and support it. And first of those is expertise. This is, my knowledge, my skills, my experience. It's all of the things that mean that people tend to listen to me or respect me. My power comes because I know things, because I know my stuff. And that is often a really great currency that people are using from a power point of view. The second one is more of a respect-based power, and this is influence that comes from things like trust, our achievements. Other people tend to follow us and believe in us and are inspired by us because we've done something worthwhile. We've got some power in the sense that we've achieved an outcome, or we've inspired others, or we've led something that was, something other people recognize as important. And I think the third piece here, and we spend a lot of time talking about this when we talk about confidence and executive presence, is this sense of what we're calling presence-based power. So it's to do with who we're being. We talk a lot in the world, it's very much focused on what we're doing, but actually power can quite often be something that people hold within. It's quiet, it's a self-trust, it's an inner knowing, it's a sense of agency, because underneath it all, I know I can back myself because I know my worth. And when all of those pieces come together, it's a really potent place to be operating from. And we've met people like that, we know people like that. And that sense of personal power is something that gives us cut through in organizations, in interpersonal dynamics, in all sorts of arenas. Holding our personal power is really important.
Yeah. The third source of power or types of power that we want to look at is what we're calling collective power. And this is power that comes from who we know or how we behave with others. The first is network or relational power. So this is influence from maybe who you know and how you're connected. You know, my relationships open doors and create impact. And this can be a really critical and valuable asset for many people operating in systems. And the second one is power with, and this is how you behave or how you operate. Here we're talking about, collaborating, consensus, shared goals. Together, we can work together. We can be aligned and we can navigate through a system. And so this is often a piece around power with rather than power over.
I think when you layer all those pieces together, what we can see is for women, there is a lot of pressure that is driven by our current structures and systems, whether it's the way government operates in political spheres, in workplaces, in systems we're part of. Often they were designed very much from a masculine base, from a different base that didn't really include a lot of women thinking about what they needed to do and how they would show up and how they would have presence and power there. And so for us, as we think about this and we think about what power means for us, it can often mean reclaiming space. It can mean being more visible. It can mean taking ourselves into arenas and not waiting for permission, being more unapologetic.
We're going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed today's confidence conversation, we'd love for you to share it with someone who you think may benefit. And of course, we'd love to hear from you, your comments, your contributions. Um, if you'd like to hear more of our confidence conversations, head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe. Literally hundreds and hundreds of videos on some of the great topics we've been covering off this year, including office politics and system awareness over on our YouTube channel. And of course, lots and lot of videos from clients who have been through our Acts of Confidence program, sharing the impact of the program and our work with them. And even when you're ready to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, visit your website, coreconfidence.com.au.